All right, let's just jump right in. We have all been there, right? You've got the perfect plan. You know exactly what you need to do to get healthier, to do better at work, to improve your life. And then you just don't do it. Today, we're going to tear down that wall between knowing and doing and really explore this powerful way of communicating that turns those good intentions into actual, real-life action.
This sentence. I am willing to bet every single one of us has said some version of this. It just feels like a dead end, doesn't it? Like a confession of failure. It's that sigh you hear from a patient or a coworker, a friend, or, let's be honest, from ourselves in the mirror. But what if it's not an ending at all?
What if that exact moment of frustration is actually an opening? It's an invitation to have a totally different kind of conversation, one that moves way past just giving instructions and gets to the heart of what is really going on. That sentence, that's the doorway into coaching.
Because here's the thing, plans don't exist in a perfect little bubble. They land smack in the middle of a messy, complicated, real life. A plan that sounds perfectly reasonable in a nice, quiet office can completely fall apart when it runs into real-world fatigue, stress, fear of the unknown, or just not having anyone in your corner. So the key takeaway here is this: the plan isn't the problem, the fit is. And this is exactly where coaching comes in. It's a completely different way of thinking. It's not about giving someone better instructions or a better plan. It's about building a partnership so that any plan becomes doable in the context of their actual life.
I mean, this slide just lays it out so clearly. Coaching is not about lecturing someone on what they should be doing. It's not about scolding them for what they haven't done or swooping in to rescue them from their problems. No. It is about providing structure to a conversation, giving genuine support to the person, and creating a clear plan for follow-through. It's a process that's really built on respect.
And this shows you the incredible internal shift that happens because of that partnership. A person moves from that vague, kind of guilt-ridden world of I should to the solid, concrete action of here's what I will do. I'm failing becomes I'm learning what works, and I'm alone is replaced by I have support and a real plan. It's a total game changer.
So how do you actually do it? Well, it's not some kind of mystical art. It's a really simple, repeatable engine that has 3 core parts: assess, challenge, and support. Let's take a look at how this thing works.
And there it is. That's the whole framework. First, you figure out what's the reality of the situation. Then, you gently expand their perspective to see what other options are out there. And finally, you turn that new perspective into a concrete, actionable step. Simple, right? Okay, let's break each one down.
So this first phase, assess, it's all about curiosity. Your whole job is to create a space where someone can tell you the absolute truth without any fear of being judged. You don't need to have the answer, you just need to ask the right questions. So imagine someone says, I want to exercise 3 times a week, but I'm just not doing it. The old way is to say, well, you just got to try harder. The coaching way, it's to get curious.
Look at these questions. You might ask, what's been working? Even just a little bit. And they might say, well, I do manage to go for a walk on Saturdays. Boom, right there, that's a strength. That's something you can build on. Or you might say, walk me through a normal day. And you might discover they have absolutely zero energy after work, which means an evening gym session, it's just never going to happen. See, this isn't an interrogation. It's a fact-finding mission that you're on together.
Okay, next up is the challenge phase. And let's be super clear about this. Challenge does not mean criticism. Think of it more like a gentle stretch. It's about helping someone see their own situation from a slightly different angle. For our person who wants to exercise, it's about shifting from I'm failing at my 3-day plan to, what kind of plan could actually work?
Oh, I love these questions. They just unlock so much creativity. Take that one in the middle. If this were 20% easier, what would change? That is pure genius. They might stop and think, and then say, well, I guess I wouldn't have to drive all the way to the gym. Maybe I could just do a 15-minute workout at home. See? It doesn't ask for a perfect solution, just a slightly better one. These questions open doors without pushing anyone through them.
And finally, we have support. This is where the magic of the conversation actually turns into reality. Because look, a great chat is totally useless if it doesn't lead to a concrete next step. So you'd say, okay, that 15-minute home workout, that sounds interesting. What is one specific action you'll take this week to give that a try? This part is all about defining exactly what happens next and making sure that they own the plan.
So we've got the 3-step engine. Now let's look at a couple of specific tools that make this whole process incredibly powerful and, well, they stop people from agreeing to plans they are never, ever going to follow.
This phrase right here is such a powerful tool because it just dissolves shame. So often, people hide the real reasons they're struggling because they're afraid of being blamed. But language like this, it normalizes the struggle. It basically says, hey, you're not broken. This part is just hard for a lot of people. Let's figure it out together.
Now this might just be the most important question in the entire toolkit. Once you have a new, smaller plan, like that 15-minute home workout, you ask for a confidence score. It's a simple, numerical way to pressure test the plan before it even leaves the room.
So, let's say for their original plan of hitting the gym 3 times a week, their answer is a 4. Now, to most of us, that sounds like a failure, right? A reason to just give up. But to a coach, a 4 is incredibly valuable information. It's like a big flashing red light. And here is the absolute key insight. A score under 7 doesn't mean the person is going to fail. It means the plan is going to fail. The plan is a fantasy. It's just not realistic for their life right now. So you don't push them harder? No. You change the plan. You shrink the step, or you add more support until that number starts to go up. And here's the beautiful part. Here's how you use that number. Instead of asking, why is it so low, which just focuses on all the problems, you ask, that's interesting. Why a 4 and not a 1? This question immediately forces the person to identify their own strengths, their own motivations. They might say, well, I did buy some new workout clothes, and I really do want to be healthier, and that's it. You start building from what's already there, not from what's missing.
So we've looked at the 3-step engine and some really powerful tools to make it all work. But what's the underlying philosophy that makes this whole approach so effective? Well, it all comes down to 6 core principles.
Let's just run through these. First, you create safety, but also that gentle challenge to help them grow. Second, it has to be their goal, not yours. You're working on their agenda. Third, you facilitate, you collaborate, you don't lecture. You're a guide, not a dictator. Fourth, you help them see their own patterns and their own strengths. Fifth, you help them learn from what works and what doesn't, all without judgment. And sixth, and this one is huge, you have to walk the talk. You model this curious, non-judgmental approach yourself.
And that really brings us to the ultimate goal of all of this. This isn't about getting someone to be perfect this week. It's about helping them build the skills, the awareness, and the confidence to manage their own challenges for the long haul. You're not just solving one problem, you're building a problem solver.
So I'll leave you with this question. Think about a conversation that you have regularly, maybe with a client, a colleague, a family member, or maybe even the one you have with yourself. What would happen if you just shifted your approach? What could change if you stopped telling and instead you started coaching? Just asking where they are, what might be possible, and what they'll do next.